Still live from our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. If you just joined us, this is Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. Now to our main conversation for today. Here is the smell of the blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh, oh, oh. Those were the very words spoken out by Lady Macbeth in William Shakespeare's eponymous tragedy, Macbeth. Now, in a very vivid way, they say something, no, they say quite a lot, actually, about the events that unfolded at the Lekki Toll Gate in October of 2020. Thankfully, the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas Community Court of Justice, has found the federal government of Nigeria guilty of human rights abuses in its response to the #EndSARS protest in October of 2020. The court ruled on Wednesday that the Nigerian government's action, particularly its disproportionate use of force at the Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos, breached several international human rights standards, including Article 1, 5, 6, 9, 10, and 11 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and has consequently mandated the Nigerian government to pay 2 million naira in compensation to each victim named in the suit. The applicants, Obianuju Catherine Ude, popularly known as DJ Switch, Perpetual Kamsi, and Dabi Ra Oluwa Adeyinka, alleged several violations occurred during the peaceful protest at the Lekki Toll Gate on October 20 and 21, 2020. The applicants claimed that the protesters were shot by soldiers who refused to let an ambulance in, which resulted in several deaths, while the wounded received the subpar treatment in the hospital. Furthermore, the applicants claimed that they were hospitalized in the process and with their lives under threat and constant surveillance, leading to hiding and some seeking asylum in foreign countries. The applicants asked that the court grant them declaratory relief as well as monetary damages for these infractions. However, the respondent had denied all claims made by the applicants, asserting that the protesters unlawfully assembled at Lekki Toll Gate were incited and that the government agents followed strict rules of engagement. Kuruma Mohammed Sengu, the judge rapporteur who delivered the judgment, dismissed the allegations that the right to life as guaranteed under Article 4 of the ACPHR was violated and found the government guilty for violations of the applicant's right to security of persons, prohibition of torture and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, right to freedom of expression, assembly and association, duty to investigate human rights violations, and right to effective remedy. The 3-member panel of the court directed that the respondent must adhere to its obligation under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, investigate and prosecute its agents responsible for these violations, and report to the court within 6 months on the measure taken to implement this judgment. Quite a very lengthy read, but of course I have in the studios today to do justice to these and more Emeka Madunagu, who's just joined us. He is a journalist and a public affairs analyst, and still in the studios with me is Pastor Fansu Feli. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of our show today. I'd love to start off this discussion with Barrister Evans Feli. As a lawyer, maybe you would help us interpret more on what this means, especially as regards the lives of those who were cut short in the process and the Nigerian government.
Yes, the 3 applicants who brought this suit before the Ecowas court. By the way, the Ecowas court is a regional court, of the West African hemisphere, that deals with human rights violation and cases of human rights abuse within the West African coast. And the EndSARS happened in Lagos, Nigeria, at the Lekki Toll Gate, where members of the Nigerian states, the youths, assembled to protest against police brutality, which is called SARS. SARS used to be a department of the police that was introduced in Nigeria originally to fight highway robbery in those days before we had that kind of crime had been whittled down, and they became a behemoth, they became a monster, taking on citizens, and they're killing people, sometimes extrajudicially and all that. So it got to a point where the citizens rose against that, and there was a consistent protest. I was a member of the protest, full member of the protest. So
when you was a member of the protest, you were there.
Yes,
at the time.
I was there the day the military came to shoot at protesters.
Wow.
So I'm not just a guest on the show. I was a participant in the protest. And what the Ecowas court just did, by the way, the 3 judges on the panel are not Nigerians. I mean, those judges are not Nigerians. So the Ecowas court is in Abuja, in Nigeria. And they have looked at the case before them and found out, because the federal government had argued that they follow the rules of engagement in quelling insurrection or mutiny. But the court, having listened to the applicant and the respondent, came to this conclusion in their judgment that though part of the prayers of the applicant were that the right to life, as predicated under Article 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, was violated. Now the court did not agree on that, okay? But the court agreed that their right to peaceful assembly was violated. Their right to security of persons were violated. Their right to freedom of expression was violated. And other ancillary human rights, okay? The right not to be subjected to dehumanizing condition was breached by the federal government. And the court has handed this down. And the court has gone further to say that in view of the foregoing, the federal government should pay 2 million naira each to the applicant on that reference. And has also gone further to say that it has given the federal government the window within which they should enforce and ensure that this judgment is enforced. Now, the implication of this is that before now, this is now the second judicial authority that have indicted the federal government. The first was a panel of inquiry set up by the Lagos state government that investigated the matter and looked into what happened really on that day. And this panel of inquiry indicted the federal government that there were massacres. Now, there were killings on that day. Okay, I mean, the panel of inquiry went deeper to say that there were killings. Now, the Ecowas court didn't agree because Article 4 was not granted.
Okay.
But agreed that the people's rights were copiously.
What was in Article 4?
Article 4 is the right to life.
Okay.
This applicant had said that too was breached.
Okay.
So, but the Ecowas court didn't agree with that. But they agreed with the fact that every other right under, those articles that relates to human rights were violated. The one for assembly, freedom of assembly was violated, freedom of expression, security of human person, not to be subjected to any dehumanizing condition, and the rest of all were violated, and have made this. Now, that is the angle of the court. Now, let me now state physically what happened. On that day, when the 20th of October, 2020, okay, it was around 7, almost some minutes to 7, okay, when
PM.
Yes, PM, when the soldiers came into the arena at the Lekki toll gates. Now, the protesters were, normal on their protests, dancing and singing with the Nigerian flag, and calling on the government to, do the needful. As at that time, attention has moved. Attention has moved from, because the ensigns have been banned, and the federal government has said this protest should stop. But there was no agreement as to whether that protest should stop, because the federal government were now calling for the leaders of the ensigns protest and the protest had no leaders.
No leaders.
Yes. So that now aggravated the youth the more, and they said no. They came out the next day, and the protest was on and on and on. So they came in and started to open fire on the citizens. Okay, and when during the panel of inquiries, the soldiers said they were invited by the Lagos State government, the Lagos State governor, whom, when he was interviewed on CNN, declined that he never invited them. Okay, so we had that issue back and forth, but thank God, a judicial panel of inquiry set up by the Lagos State government indicted the federal government and the Lagos State government, and also now the Ecowas court made a pronouncement on the issue.
All right, very well said. Mecca, thankfully, this is happening at a time when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been re-elected as the Ecowas chair. And I would remember very vividly at the time of the NSAS protest, or just prior, after that, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we had a video where he said he was questioning, the identity of those who were at the protest ground. And he said categorically, who are those people there? What is their identity? Would Bola Ahmed Tinubu respect everything that has been said here?
Well, it's up to him. It's up to him to respect it. But going by antecedents, the Nigerian government has hardly respected verdicts of the Ecowas court. If you remember, the Ecowas court told the Buhari government to release the former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki. Did they listen? Until, the judiciary kept hitting at them, and then Nigerians kept asking, what personal interest Muhammadu Buhari had in keeping this man in detention against judicial pronouncements. Now, certain links have been made to Tinubu and the Lekki toll gate. But what I would just like to say is that, we should take notice that under the Tinubu administration, the violation of human rights has even gone to a new level. Abductions by security agencies, arresting people Gestapo style, EFCC breaking into, people's homes, to the extent that the chairman of EFCC had to order an investigation into the violation of the rights of some people as captured on a video. Even this morning, the DSS invaded the senior subquarters of Federal College of Education, Akoka, and abducted the deputy registrar because they had been holding protests for 5 weeks, asking the provost to go, that his tenure had ended. So you see these things, these serious violations, and Tinubu pretends, after no, that they look at Okwama in Delta State. Name it, different places. It's as if the security agencies are in a competition to violate the rights of Nigerians. But what I usually tell them is that what goes around comes around. Because I've seen cases of people full under the military, under Abacha, under Babangida, some of the military officers, soldiers, security agents, DSS, police and all that gleefully violated the rights of Nigerians. They later turned out to face the same things, and then they ran to the media, cried, and were asking them. There was something that was said to happen during the 1994 Constitutional Conference. Where Ojukwu, told the Saruwa, when Saruwa was talking about certain things that the Abacha government was, and Ojukwu said, crowed like a cock and said, "Good morning." What did he mean? Metaphorically, that you see, what goes around comes around. Don't put your hand to injustice, because it will come back and serve you premium breakfast. This is what has been happening. When the Buhari administration was, gleefully, violating human rights, look at what happened in Kaduna. El-Rufai, was so happy. When the Shiites were mowed down, did he do anything? The panel of inquiry said certain things. He was supposed to have issued a white paper. Did El-Rufai implement it? Today, the same Nasir El-Rufai is in court asking that his fundamental human rights. Let me tell you, the hypocrisy among the Nigerian political class is sickening. But I hope one day, somehow, this nation will be redeemed from these people who are bent on just wrecking this nation. It's sad. Everywhere. There was a video some days ago of some policemen who tried to abduct. A man was walking on the street, a young man. They just stopped their Toyota car. I entered this car. The man said no. It was until they were trying to force him. You could see how barbaric these people are. Trying to force a human. They didn't even mind if his head broke in the process. Using one was, going about as he wanted to cock his gun. Until people came and, what did this man do? We saw him going on his own. What did they do? Till they were forced to release him. Now, that is how bad. That is how bad, how degenerate the issue of human rights, but how bad it has gone. But Tinubu has a chance to redeem himself and his government. Because we are talking about the Samoa Agreement. Go and read the Samoa Agreement. Oh, I feel sorry for this nation. Maybe say no, the LGBTQ clause is not there. I said, did these guys go to school or this? I don't have to say Henry is putting on a blue shirt for me to express that Henry is putting on a colored shirt. It's all about semantics. But look at certain provisions in that Samoa Agreement. Go and look at our constitution. Are they in consonance? You say the parties agree that they would respect human rights. Do you respect human rights? Do you respect human rights? There are a series of violations of human rights. So the point is this: I praise the Ecowas court. It doesn't matter whether they implement it or not. But you see, all of these things will keep piling up. When the history of some governments in Nigeria, some administration in Nigeria is written, it will be written on the side of infamy. This Fourth Republic, beginning from Obasanjo down, so-called civilian leaders, democratic leaders, have been serial violators of human rights, and it's despicable, it is condemnable, it's shameful.
All right.
The NSAS protest, we all witnessed it. But what happened? Buhari took it. Buhari's spin doctors now turned it and said they wanted to overthrow Buhari. People in Lagos wanted to overthrow Buhari in Abuja. In Abuja, thugs were unleashed on people and they killed some people there. Thugs in different places. But what happened? The spin doctors tried to spin it. Today, the Tinubu administration is now trying to keep a distance from the Buhari administration. Well, justice will be served, whether today, whether tomorrow, whether 5 years, whether 10 years, justice will be served.
All right, so while we wait for justice to be served, the barrister Evansu Feli, the applicants are asking for declaratory relief. Please help us make sense of that. And secondly, for someone who sought asylum to another country, what do you think is that legal proceeding that would possibly make it possible for the person to come back home without no stress from agents of the government?
One of which is what it just happened now. There's a judgment now before the West African coast that their rights were violated, because when you go to seek asylum, you tell them exactly why you left your home country. Okay? And if the reasons are cogent and they are such that you couldn't have done any of that in order to leave, then it is fine. But now you have litigated against the same government that violated your rights, and now you came out victorious. So one of the issues have been clear that truly the government violated your rights. Okay? Except that Nigeria is very lawless. Okay? It's a very lawless place, because there was a time they declared the switch wanted. Okay? But now it's clear that truly the government violated her rights. So she has a judgment
So can she
that
come
she
back home?
can enforce. Of course, why
She can
not?
come back home now.
Why not?
And walk down the street with no issues.
Yes, she can enforce her judgment. It's just that Nigeria is not a civil society. I'm very sorry, but it's not, we don't behave like we're running democracy. The way our law enforcement agencies operate, they don't. In the past, when people leave the country to seek asylum elsewhere, after that regime change, they come back. Though it used to be military and now civil rule. Even the current president was a refugee sometime. Went to seek asylum somewhere. Okay? Until after military regime had ended, before he came back. This is civil rule to civil rule now. Okay? Okay? She can actually return. That's the truth. But that is not the issue. The issue now is that there's a judgment against the federal government. The Ecowas court have original jurisdiction.
It can be appealed.
To where? To where? There's no other court within Ecowas that is higher than the Ecowas court. Okay, so that is where we are. You cannot appeal to anywhere. The government must respect it. Pay the 2 million naira each to the persons affected, because the courts have given a window to supervise the enforcement. Pay that money and then do all the things, because the government have already made the declaratory relief that you talk about. That is those pronouncements.
So now, who speaks to those who, of course, the reason DJ Switch is able to do that is because of our influence and so on and so forth. So who speaks for those victims who possibly have gone, and those who are still suffering because the applicants, just 3 of them.
No, the applicants are the ones who went to court on behalf of every other person that died.
Oh, okay.
But Article 4, okay, they claim that Article 4 was also violated, and that has to do with right to life of the African Charter on Women and People's Rights. Okay, that Article 4, the Ecowas court did not grant it. Okay, but granted that the rights to freedom of expression, to human security, not to be subjected to dehumanizing condition, and all that, those ones were all granted, and that is what amounted to the fund itself. If the court had granted the 4th one, there would have been compensation for all those who died and the victims. Court would have made that prayer. But the court was also careful. The court needed to inculpate the federal government for what they did, which was wrong. I mean, we all saw it. And the evidence we know all about. This is not the first judicial body that have said the federal government was liable. This is not the first judicial. The one by the Lagos State government. In fact, the one by the Lagos State government, they paid compensation. The Lagos State government paid a lot of compensation. So much, I was in that court too. My client, I took a case there. So I know that a lot of people were paid compensation, which is supposed to ameliorate the situation. Which in a way the state government did to show remorse. Okay. Even though the governor denied on CNN that he did not call the soldiers. But when the soldiers got to the panel, when they heard him on CNN, the soldiers went to the panel and said it was the governor that called them. Then at a point, the soldiers stopped coming to the panel. They stopped, yes. They felt embarrassed.
Typically,
they felt embarrassed, and then they stopped. But the Ecowas court, did a good job. This is why we should have, international courts, in our space, because the issue of human rights is one that under our environment there's a lot of violations. As we speak today, the Kenyans are out there for over 3 weeks now, okay, protesting against bad governance. Now, some of them have been shot, some of them have been killed. At the end of this, there's going to be litigation. There's going to be panel of inquiries. There's going to be a lot of things. Okay, and then will the government now come and tell us that we did not shoot, we did not kill? When we have video evidence, photographic evidence, documentary evidence, and we have eyewitnesses.
Very true. All right, so freedom for peaceful protest is a fundamental right. And the federal government has said Nigerians took them unawares with the NSAS. And right now they've beefed up every arsenal to ensure that does not repeat itself again. With what we have, the economic conundrum we have right now, Nigerians are beginning to beg for another alternative to NSAS. How possible is that?
First of all, NSAS took place first in 2018. There was an NSAS protest in 2018. Then in 2020, it started in Ughelli, when some police officers, pounced on some young men, accused, and, so that was a protest. It now started spreading and then came to Lagos. There was NSAS protests in Benin. There was also in the East. Now, even in Abuja too, even in Anambra State, there was a report that indicted some police officers. Up till today, the Anambra State government has not implemented that report. I just hope some of the people linked with that will also head to the Ecowas court. Let this disgrace, this global disgrace, be total. Because we have people who don't care about human rights, and they must be stopped. Now they are saying, okay, like you said, that which arsenal have they beefed up? Which arsenal? And then kidnappers are roaming the space.
Arsenals against the citizens.
Arsenal against the citizen. But the same people run away from kidnappers. The same people run away from insurgents. The same people, terrorists, we pounce on their convoys and kill them, seize their arms. But it's the citizens they are powerful against. Now, the airbag government protests that is fixed for August 1. There was something that, surfaced on X some days ago, that was said to be a directive for the police high command. That police officers should use every force to make sure no protests are held. But you see, let me tell the Nigerian police something. The IG of police will soon leave the force. Let him take note of that. He will soon leave the force. Look, let me tell you something. It might be good when you put on uniform, which is typical Nigeria. Once you put on a uniform, you become mighty eagle. But one day you will be on the streets. Take note, people will remember. Johnny Nenche, Brigadier General Johnny Nenche, who briefly spoke about the NSAS, everything. When the Peter Obi campaign tried to draw him, you see the backlash. He said, no way! Get out of this place. He said, get out.
He said, never again.
Get out.
We will never forget.
He was trying to defend. In fact, they had to just beg him, please, just go. Don't come and pollute our campaign. So that still awaits, that same treatment awaits all these people. All of them, one after the other. Look, Nigeria must be run by leaders who respect human rights. It's a fundamental right. It's not negotiable. If they like, let them keep facing the citizens. One day, they will be called to account. You see what happened in the Oputa Parliament?
Even the EFCC the other day issued an order. And I was wondering, the EFCC, are they now a court?
EFCC.
Not to saying that there are some persons are planning to protest against the EFCC operation.
They say a former governor, just say
anybody that and all that. So I don't think this country is almost like at the verge of collapse. When you look at the way things are run.
Yeah, like a failed state.
Yeah, almost like a failed state. And if they don't, what the IG is supposed to do now for the August 1 protest, supposed to ensure that the police must go and buy foodstuff, mineral granules and all those things that they will use to entertain protesters.
To ensure is
and protect them, yes, and get ambulances shared across the country. So that while the protest is ongoing, they will be able to manage and protect. That is what they can do. I don't think they can stop this one. This protest coming is not NSAS. NSAS was started by Nigerian middle class youths. They are well fed. The least of them had masters. I was among them. the least person there had a master's even abroad in that protest.
Yeah.
But this one, this August 1, this one are the people that don't care whether they live or die.
Living.
You understand? So you're not going to stop this one. You can stop that one. You can't stop this one.
All right.
If this issue was a lie, why are they now running everywhere, all over the world, looking for where to import maize, where to import wheat? Why are they just making? They are suddenly declaring state of emergency. Why are they running about? They will spend 2 trillion in 6 months. Why are they running about it? They know they have failed. They know the government is just basically empty, bereft of ideas. That's why you see them running up and down. They remove the withholding tax. They remove this. How come? Knee-jerk reactions. Let them take note of something. Like Caesar's wife, you must be seen to be above board. In human rights, let them take note. They say soldier go, soldier come, barracks remain. You can be in government today, tomorrow you will leave, posterity will judge.
Definitely. Very, very
Harshly.
true. Yes, very, very true. And graciously, the judgment of the Ecowas court returned a guilty verdict against Nigeria about NSAS violence. It says the Nigerian government has blood on its hands, and it is blood that, like it was with Lady Macbeth, cannot be washed away by the perfumes of propaganda. Now let's end the show the way we started it, with yet another quote from Macbeth. Here it is. When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the holy ball is done, when the battle's lost and won. End quote. Gentlemen, love to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Part of our show by Stefan Sofeli and Emeka Madunago. Thank you so graciously for being part of our show today. But most importantly, we love to say thank you to you for always giving us your time whenever we need them. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com, and also like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.